hosted by Jason Bryan and providing the latest insights on telecoms trends from around the world. This is Rocco Radio.
Welcome back to the Big Interview by Rocco Radio. I'm your host, Jason Bryan, and today we're diving into the world of telecom fraud and security with Piotr Szymański, founder and managing director at jtendo. Piotr is an expert in fraud prevention with years of experience tackling issues like CLI spoofing, deepfake fraud, and the evolving threats in telecoms networks. In this episode, we'll explore the role of international consortiums, the latest advancements in fraud detection using AI, and how these technologies are protecting telecoms operators and their subscribers from increasingly sophisticated attacks. Get ready for an insightful conversation on the cutting edge of telecom security. Well, it's a great pleasure to be here with Piotr, who is the managing director at jtendo. Piotr Szymański, is that correct?
Close enough.
Please say it for us so we can get it totally right.
It's Szymański.
Szymański. Oh, right.
Yeah, even better.
Piotr Szymański, thank you very much for coming onto this podcast with us. You're managing director at jtendo, a person I've known being in the industry for over 15 years. Certainly jtendo's been around for that long. I believe you're the founder. Could you tell us a little bit about your career history?
Oh, yes, definitely. I actually started in Orange, Poland, so many years ago, I can't remember. Then I moved to the vendor side, so to the dark side. And at some point of time, like 14 years ago, I have been co-founder of jtendo and a CEO from the very beginning. And then we are building this company with our customers, actually. And I'm happy to be in this place.
Excellent. Now, as I said before, you're a subject matter expert, I see, in fraud. I've got some questions for you, which I think are going to be very helpful for our industry to understand better the position on fraud today. But let's start with a high-level technical definition of fraud in the telecoms industry. What is it, and how has it evolved over the years?
So technically speaking, it's a kind of misuse of mobile networks or mobile protocol functions or use of protocol vulnerabilities to basically gain unfair business profits from subscribers or from operators. So this is a kind of technical definition. And in terms of the evolution, well, it started really long ago with probably Kevin Mitnick, and he invented kind of boxes which were playing DTMF tones, so the old way of picking numbers, and it allowed him and his colleagues to create calls for free using phone booths, as I can remember. And now we are in a bit more complex scenarios where bad actors are using network connectivity, and they are tricking operators and subscribers into some fraud scenarios, like charging less than agreed for operators, like changing the termination rate on the business level for voice and SMSs, as well as showing subscribers spoofed numbers or different number, thus creating scenarios that could lead, for example, to bank frauds. As we see it, actually, the market is more and more open, and this actually allows to bad actors to connect to the networks and perform fraudulent scenarios. So this was perfected by these bad actors for tens of years, and we are now in a situation that, for example, social media, OSINT, so plus CLI spoofing, plus phishing can result in using even deep fake technology up to a point where even very aware people, hopefully like myself, might have some problems in detecting the fraud, in understanding that this call actually is a fraud, is a scam. And I want also to kind of put some focus on elderly population. I believe that they are a big part of economy, generally speaking, and they are specifically vulnerable in terms of fraud scenarios because they are a bit less aware than technical people working for operators.
Absolutely. I know my parents both experienced that. And you hear, I actually live in Spain, and it's not so prevalent here as it is in the UK, but in the UK, it's really incredible. I remember a time not so long ago when telecom fraud seemed like a distant, invisible problem to most of us. Then suddenly everyone was getting hit by robocalls or spam texts. It's like the industry realized all at once that these fraudsters were getting smarter and smarter. And then we needed to do something, right?
Absolutely.
So what are some of the key obstacles in the industry that you think have been overcome in terms of combating fraud? What challenges do you think have been overcome, and what are coming up for us?
Actually, I think you mentioned that we have realized the problem. So I believe that the main improvement is the knowledge that we share, that we learned. And this is a crucial part in improving this problem. And in terms of the bad actors, they have also learned new ways of misusing the networks. So, there's no better way to fight this than just work together on this topic. As for the future, I actually mentioned that the market is more and more opened, and it will be even more open with 5G and many private networks and further market fragmentation. So it will make the problem even more complex, and the bad actors will be hidden even better in this jungle of connections in between operators. As for new technologies, I mentioned 5G. Well, new technologies always bring new vulnerabilities, although 5G definition, 5G specification is kind of promising to have a very new security approach. So let's keep our fingers crossed that it will not bring new vulnerabilities, but rather fix the old ones. Although legacy technologies will be still on the market for a long time.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what is going to happen with like 5GSA when they have real 5G networks, and to see how that is going to evolve over time. Because, like you said, IoT creates a lot of impact on the network, potentially all of these different devices, much more than we've ever seen before. Yep. Question for you about the industry, let's say the consortiums, right? The different forums that we have in the industry. How do you see their role in addressing some of these issues, in addressing fraud on a global level? Do they have the gravitas to do that?
Yeah, so I'd say let's structure kind of different approaches to this topic, because in my mind, I'm trying to divide, say, levels of solutions of addressing fraud into three levels. First is quite obvious, and this is MNO level, so single organization, single business level. It can be MVNO, can be a carrier or something like that. So on the single organization level, the implementation of anti-CLI spoofing platform is a bit limited in terms of scope, but it's quite easy to manage because the operator of the organization can apply just normal tender process, and it's just yet another project in the company. So it's like every operator right now can handle this independently up to some point of success, I would say. Now, the second level is handled by the regulator. So it's a country level. And the regulator might force market players to implement different solutions like anti-CLI spoofing in a specific schedule according to specific specification with some standardized protocols of their data interchange that is put on the market together with other operators' work groups. So, for example, it allows sharing blacklisted directions, ability to confirm that some code is valid, and basically ability for one operator to use APIs of other operator to confirm that the code is valid. And third level is regional. So several countries can agree on particular algorithms, protocols, interfaces, and all. Like EU probably could kind of work it out as a new EU regulation, but it's quite slow in general. Like we can remember some other regulations. Some of them worked, some of them not too much, but it's quite slow. And I actually cannot imagine a working group of hundreds of market players to agree on specific efficiency as a kind of mandatory thing. But here comes the international consortiums, which can bring a lot of knowledge, and they can bring actually, or we can bring, because we will be a part of that. And we can bring a blueprint of regulations, like a legal regulations as well, because, like, honestly speaking, regulators are also having problems with defining in the law how this should be defined, like how this should be written. So international consortiums can bring the blueprint of legal regulations as well as technical realization, API standardization, and things like that. So I believe that we should recommend solution so that it is applied on the country level or on the operators level.
So can you give me an example of one of these international consortiums?
Well, GSMA is a perfect, I guess, for kind of standardizing the APIs, for example, which can be used in between operators to check whether the call is valid. This is something that we are doing, for example, in Poland, but also in other countries, where the regulator actually defined the API which are used by all the market players, so all MNOs and MVNOs, to confirm that the call is valid in some particular scenarios. As well as the regulator also has put a list of numbers which are not allowed to be originating on originating side. For example, the numbers which banks have identified as just used for incoming calls, never for outgoing calls, etc. So GSMA, I believe, is a good body to handle that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know the forums in GSMA. I've attended some of them, and they're very interesting to see. I always get the feeling, though, that maybe there's some reluctance for operators to share this kind of exposure that they're having on their network. Do you see the same, or is it that it's kind of opening up? We have to fight this no matter what.
You see, so there are actually two types of problems coming from CLI spoofing. One is hurting operators because it limits their revenue because of the change of originating number. The termination rate becomes lower. We'll give you some example later. And the second one is just for subscribers to feel safe. So it's about security of subscribers. So not to allow a call incoming to subscriber showing a spoofed number. In the second case, actually, operators lose revenue because they are not allowing calls to be terminated. So actually securing the network from CLI spoofing may result in decreasing the revenue of the operator. So we can kind of see that operators are not very keen to handle that. Like, the security is often just on the cost side. Of course, there are benefits like, image and brand, securing the brand, but it's sometimes also considered as limiting the revenue. So in these cases, I believe they are not in a hurry, let's say, to secure the network from CLI spoofing.
Yeah. When I think about telecoms fraud and I think about the regulators, it's kind of reminding me of traveling to different countries where we have different traffic rules, right? I'm British, so I drive on one side of the road, but I live in Spain, so I drive on the other now. And sometimes when you go to another country, it's like you have no idea which side of the road that they drive on. Some have strict road maps. Some don't even have traffic lights, right? If we think about the global aspect of it, and it seems to me that maybe the regulators also have a similar approach, right, to telecoms fraud. Is that fair?
Well, they also have different awareness.
Yeah.
So there are countries that do have some regulations. Most of the countries don't have regulations, hopefully yet. So bringing awareness of regulators, it's also some major issue, I would say, for us. Now, Actually, the same goes for SS7. We all remember and we all know SS7 vulnerabilities, but there are not so many countries which actually mandated SS7 firewall to be in place for all operators and the quality of SS7 firewall. So I believe that the same kind of happens for CLI spoofing. Once the regulator become aware that subscribers, like citizens actually, are affected by not having anti-CLI spoofing platform, they will realize that they need to do something about it. And actually, this comes also to a kind of approach which I'm trying to evangelize, that operators are not just pure business topics. They are actually strategic value inside a country. So they should be watched carefully in terms of security by country level, let's say.
You've got me thinking about areas of security which are fundamental to us, right? And the fact that in the last years, all kind of connected with fintech a little bit more than we ever have before, or tech fin, depending on what you call it. Regarding banks, can you provide any specific examples of the impact telecom fraud is having on them, particularly, let's say, in conjunction with voice, deepfake technology and phishing? I mean, these are things which seem very futuristic, but are actually very real now.
Yeah, actually, my friend happens to be a victim of this kind of event. She called me afterwards, after she lost a bit more than 1,000 euros. The story was that, so in Poland, we have a kind of payment system called Blik. And basically, you can ask a person to give you a code from your mobile phone, and you put it into an ATM. Then the person has to authorize this withdrawal using this banking application. And my friend was actually, so her information was gathered from Facebook. And let's say the attacking party knew that she has a sister, and using her sister's credentials, let's say, the attacker basically pushed my friend to authorize a withdrawal.
Wow!
So she lost some money this way, and this is becoming more and more, let's say, efficient from the attacking party side. Because deepfake, actually, I think I would be fooled if someone would do proper OSINT on me. Also using some leaks, because leaks are also providing very valuable data to hackers, to bad actors. And it's going to be very difficult to prevent this kind of scenarios. And, same goes for every kind of mobile money type of services, Western Union transfers or something like that, which can be done using mobile phones. And, it's going to be very difficult. And again, elderly people are specifically vulnerable for this kind of problems.
Yeah, and I always feel that many companies who are very into digital transformation or digitalization of their services require everybody to do things through a mobile device or a computer. And we're still in that phase, right, where elderly people are not accustomed to that. And so they're having to use technology they don't fully understand. Nobody's ever really explained to them how to use it, and do actually really complicated transactions. It is very worrying, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we became lazy, generally speaking. We want everything to be very easy. And because of that, the complexity is gone. You don't have to confirm transfer 10 times using special codes. It's so easy now that everyone can do it so easily. So everyone can overuse this as well.
So what methods are currently used to combat CLI spoofing, and how effective are they?
So, our voice firewall basically does it very efficiently. And our approach is based on 3 categories, do no harm. So do not affect legitimate calls. We also are effective, so we detect and restrict as many spoofed calls as possible, and we need to be fast. So we need to minimize the call setup time, minimize impact on call setup time. So the simplest method of CLI spoofing anti-CLI, also of spoofing CLI, is based on numbers. So based on blacklist, based on correlation between trunks and incoming numbers, blacklists, whitelists, unallocated number ranges, or specific ranges or numbers which are cleared for this purpose. More advanced solutions include location and call status check. So if we have an incoming call from international link, let's say one national operator in Poland gets a call from a number coming from another mobile operator in Poland via international link, these operators can interact with each other to check whether this originating party actually is placed in the country where the call is coming from.
Right.
So this is based on APIs and data interchange between operators, but it depends on the capabilities of the network. Whether the API is exposed, whether the regulator put some regulations, or operators basically agreed for this kind of data interchange. This does not still keeps the privacy level on a appropriate level. So it's okay, and it relies basically on interoperator APIs. The most advanced methods that we implemented is basically based on AI, so artificial intelligence, to detect and label fraudulent calls, with distinctions of types of frauds like 1GIRI fraud or robocalls, flash calls, etc. So we detect anomalies in patterns, and we decide whether this pattern is fraudulent or not. And I believe that AI will do more and more in terms of detecting anomalies and defining whether this particular call should be processed in a particular way. So either blocked or allowed, or actually there is a third way of handling CLI spoofing. You can actually remove the number, the A number. So allow the call, in some cases, but clear A number, so the party that is getting the call does not see any number. So there is a call. I mean, the call is happening, the call is allowed, but there is no information on the calling number. Sometimes it helps.
You mentioned an important term, AI, there. Of course, it's what the industry is studying right now, especially telecoms operators. How can they use it? How can they sprinkle some AI, let's say, on top of different processes or different aspects of what they do? So you definitely see AI as evolving CLI spoofing detection over time and combating it?
Absolutely, yes. And, more and more AI is coming in. But just one remark, it's more and more that AI is perceived as large language models, which are obviously not the case. AI is also machine learning and many other algorithms that can be applied on a huge number of data. So in our case, we have integrated machine learning in our solution, and receiving more and more information thanks to that model. And I believe that this way of handling specific patterns using AI is something that is becoming more and more important.
Yeah, it seems to me that we're getting to a state in the industry where AI is potentially possible, like you say, to look at all of this data. Will we be able to, I'm just throwing this question at you, I don't know if you can answer well, but will we be able to know that AI is working effectively? I mean, if it's doing things which are, let's say, humanly impossible to do, how do we know that AI is really finding the right data?
So it's not exactly that AI is never wrong, but AI can kind of point the finger at some particular pattern, and that then it can be analyzed further by a human being, and then categorize it, whether it is a faulty scenario or is it a scenario where we should apply some logic, but not necessarily block. So, for example, Clear. So I believe that this is the very good way of handling traffic, and it will learn how to do it even better throughout the time. So yeah, it's gonna happen. From the other hand, if I may, bad actors are also using AI. So
this is the challenge.
Yep.
So with all this in mind, what is jtendo up to these days? Is this an area you're looking at? What are your plans for next year, for 2025?
So this year we actually implemented anti-CLI spoofing solutions in 2 countries, like on a country level for all operators in 2 countries. I believe that next year will bring more projects with this approach. So we will fight and we will educate regulators. We are providing some blueprints already for a legal regulation, for a legal statement of regulation and technical specification of the realization as a proposition for regulators. So we definitely will continue this path. And obviously, we will improve on the AI even further, because the more data we have, the more intelligence we can get out of the data. And we will further improve on our voice firewall this way. We will probably merge it with signaling firewall next year, so it becomes just one platform doing all. And next year, actually, we also are going to promote our new product, which is JNF, which is more about APIs and value-added services and stuff like that. So it's going to be very tough year, intense year, but I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting. The JNF products and what is happening in AI, continues to be so exciting. We're already hearing that 6G is all about AI. We haven't really got properly to 5G SA yet. So it's a very exciting time in the industry. I agree with you. Well, Piotr, thank you very much for taking the time to let me ask you some of these questions. As a subject matter expert in fraud, it's a real pleasure for us to do this podcast with you. And we look forward to speaking to you again.
Thank you so much.
That's a wrap on today's episode of the Big Interview by Rocco Radio. A big thank you to Piotr from jtendo for shedding light on the evolving landscape of telecoms fraud and how cutting-edge technologies like AI are being used to combat these growing threats. If you found this discussion insightful, make sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Join us next time for more groundbreaking conversations in the world of telecom. Until then, stay safe, stay innovative, and thanks for listening.